Does playing violent video games cause violent behavior? Picture this if you will. You wake up before sunrise to study for your 8 a.m. chemistry test. You rush to school and then you realize something. You forgot your binder at home with your final research paper that is due today. Your track coach then increases your workout from 8 to 10 miles, and it is the hottest day of the season. Your landscape boss calls you, and then he tells you that he needs you to lay a pallet of sod and pavers before the sun goes down. Then you have to take your little brother to his hour-long karate class. Finally, it's 9 p.m. and you have completed your obligations and are ready just to relax. You go to your room and you start playing Doom. As you rip and tear the demons apart, you feel the stress of your day disappear and your mind begins to relax. Playing video games is a hobby enjoyed by people of all ages, gender, and ethnicity. As of 2018, the gaming industry reported that it was worth over $18.4 billion. The gaming industry also reports that as of 2019, over 1.82 billion people in the world enjoy participating in this hobby. Coincidentally, 3 out of the top 5 video games of 2019 are categorized as violent killing war games. There are many video game categories, and violent video games are often scrutinized for their negative influence. Today, I'm going to present information that playing violent video games does not cause violent behavior. 3 main points I will discuss are myths versus reality of influence violent video games have on violent behavior, psychological research on the connection between video games and violence, and why people play video games. By the end of my speech, I hope you will have a better understanding of the reality of violent video games. Now that I have introduced my 3 main points of the influence of violent video games on behavior, I will discuss my first points of myths versus reality. In a PBS interview with MIT professor Henry Jenkins, he discusses several misconceptions about influence video games have on people who play them. First myth is the subjects exposed to violent games were aggressive after playing violent games. And in reality, those subjects were aggressive before they played violent video games, therefore making the results inconclusive. Another myth is that playing violent video games can desensitize certain individuals to real-life violence. However, functional magnetic resonance imaging shows no neural differences in aggression between gamers and non-gamers. The third myth is that war video games are influencing kids to become violent. The truth is that war games teach them to stay calm in stressful situations and use critical thinking to find the best solution. For my second point, I will present research on the connection between video games and violence. As you can see on this graph, violence has decreased with the rising sales of video games over the last 20 years. In 2007, the United States Supreme Court ruled that there was insufficient proof that violent video games were associated with violent behavior and referred to psychological research on violent video games as unpersuasive. In a series of experiments done by researchers at the University of New York, more than 3,000 participants, no concrete evidence was found to support the theory that video games make people more violent. Dr. Ferguson of Stetson University told the New York Times that the evidence is clear violent video games, violent movies, and other violent forms of media are not risk factors for serious acts of aggression. It is important to understand that even if someone has aggressive thoughts and behavior, not all aggression is violent. Now that I've explained that video games do not cause violent behavior, I'm going to present my final point of explaining why people play video games and some of the benefits of playing violent video games. Playing video games is not a meaningless waste of time. Researchers have found out that playing violent video games provides quick stress relief. Frustrated players become less frustrated and more competent as they progress further and further throughout the game, and then finally kill the antagonist. Many studies and experiments have also been done proving that action video games improve hand-eye coordination. Hand-eye coordination is extremely important, and it helps with physical skills that lead to better calculation and reading skills. The violent video games also help with understanding sensory motor tasks. With the advanced graphics and interactive experiences of modern video games, many action and war games give very detailed history and geography lessons, and show in great detail how horrible war is and why we should not support it. I have presented some myths and realities of violent video games, the scientific evidence that violent video games do not cause violence, and some of the benefits that you can get from playing violent video games. Professor Ferguson from Texas A&M University sums it up well. Violent video games are like peanut butter. They are harmless for a vast majority of kids, but are harmful to a small minority with pre-existing personality or mental health problems. In conclusion, I have two questions to ask you that I would hope for you to consider. Would you agree that video games should not be used as a scapegoat for violent behavior, and that we should focus on treating what we know causes violence, such as mental illness, addiction, and bullying? Next time your kids or gaming friends want you to spend time with them, how many of you will have an open mind about playing Doom with them?